Hat on, hat off, hat on. Pants? Nah. Gear doesn't matter. Or at least that's what I would have said if I had any. Now I'm sure every filmmaker on YouTube has probably said this already a million times, but how true is it? I want to try to find out for myself. So I did. I'm only doing this because I spent all my money on the camera and the kit lens I have on it right now. Here's the video. I know it looks like garbage, but I'm actually really pleased with it, and so is the client, so how bad can it be, right? So if the client liked the final product, does that mean that you can actually shoot an ad on a kit lens? Well, it depends. Let me try to explain why. So there's a couple of problems with kit lenses. They're not exactly the greatest quality you can have. Let me show you. It's real tasty. Depth of field. You know, bokeh or bokeh, whatever you want to call it. The creamy goodness in the background of all your excess photos. You know what I'm talking about, for sure you know. That's literally inexistent with this kit lens. Literally does not exist. When shooting as open as possible with this lens at f4, it's almost impossible to get any sort of bokeh on basically any focal length. Truth be told, it's not a macro lens, so having the object so close to the camera didn't help. I mean, yeah, it's sort of my fault that I wanted close-up shots with this lens in particular. But I mean, you can expect a bit of bokeh, like a tiny bit. Thankfully, you can add it in post, so I mean, it's not such a big deal. The minimal focal distance was just too big for me. I felt like I needed to be across the room so I can get any close-up crispy shots. What I did to combat this was zoom in to 60mm. And get as close as humanly possible without losing focus. Now there's something to be said about shooting smooth handheld motion at max focal distance. Let me just tell you, it's not easy. Thankfully, having 120 FPS really saved me on that one. If you find yourself not having high FPS, I would suggest just doing the motion over and over again until you basically get the shot. That's mostly what I did too. I mean, it's just trial and error at this point. There's no winning with this lens. It would be nice for the aperture to go a little lower than 4, but then again, it's a cheap lens. What do you expect? It's basically a free lens if you think about it, not too much. Manual focus. Now, this is probably a me problem, not a lens problem, but hear me out. I found it really difficult to change focus without fumbling the camera. I think it's because the lens was just too small. It being a rather tiny lens, it was kind of difficult for my large-ish hands to get a grip on the lens and also use the manual focus at the same time. It was kind of awkward and made me just fumble the camera a lot. It's also probably because of my lack of hands-on experience, but I wouldn't have minded if the lens was just a teeny bit longer. Last thing's credibility. So most people who are not very big into filmmaking or photography think of a good camera as a big DSLR with a long lens, right? However, with the rise of mirrorless cameras, I don't think that's the case anymore, but people don't know that. So when you show up at a shoot with your A7C and its kit lens, that's about yay big in total, the package, the whole thing. People tend to not think you know what you're doing because they expected a big ass camera. Honestly, this thing with the lens not zoomed out looks like a child's toy. Now it's easy to explain to the client why the whole kit is so small and explain the technology, but they're still not gonna get it until you show it on the final product. They think that they can do the same stuff with their phone because it's not too much larger. So without having a really well-established portfolio, if you show up on a shoot with this, you're gonna get a lot of funny looks, a lot of questions, surprisingly, and they're gonna doubt your skills. Which, I mean, that's fine, because in the end, if you deliver a result that is pleasing to you and the client, nobody will care anymore. So just do good work. The pros. Now, it wouldn't be fair for me to criticize this lens without shining some light on its conveniences as well. It's a zoom lens, so if you're broke like me and can't buy an up lens, you at least have some focal lengths to play around with, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. I know, primes are better, primes are sharper, primes are expensive. I mean, less expensive than zooms, but whatever. But besides the point, it has focal lengths. To be fair, 28 to 60 is not the largest range, but it's better than nothing. 5. Previously I complained because the size made it awkward to hold, for me at least. But it's super easy to transport. If you have large enough jeans, you can even fit it in your pocket. But I think that goes for a lot of things if you have big jeans. It's lightweight, so vlogging with it doesn't feel like too much of a workout. And you can also get some really dope handheld shots because you can move it really easily through space and time and joy. Cost? It's not even money. So it's basically free. I mean, it comes with a camera. When I bought the camera, I paid an extra 180 euros for the kit lens to come with it. So it's very cost effective, especially if you're getting into photography or filmmaking. I feel like getting the kit lens is a no-brainer. It's a great stepping stone and practice tool if you want to learn how to use a camera properly, how to use your lens properly. And also, when you inevitably break it, you won't feel super bad about it. So what's the conclusion? Can you film an ad with a kit lens? I did. So I think the answer is yes. Now, would having gear make shooting easier? Absolutely. So there's one more thought I have about all the gear talk in the community. Having more gear doesn't matter, but having the right gear does. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. So that was my first ever YouTube video. I hope you got something from it, or at least enjoyed it somewhat. If you liked it, give your boy a thumbs up, and if you didn't like it, let me know that there's the other one. If you want to share it with your grandma, this is some good information too. Share it. And if you really, really want to know when I post next, you should subscribe. It's free. If I were a landscape, where would I be? So I can't seem to find my landscape. Sweep. I literally cannot find my landscape. Okay, so I literally cannot find the landscape. Well, at least it's not an expensive lens. Bye now.